group. We had done the same thing a few years back for the global in-house centers, and it's become a very major movement. So we thought we should do this in Hyderabad itself. We have today more than 400 people attending this conference here, and we have speakers and attendees from, of course, speakers from all across the world, but also we have attendees from all across the country today. We hope we find a bigger space next time, because we had to stop our registrations in a lot of way. That's why you're here, and the announcement that we are making and the sheet that you have. And if there are any other questions about the industry, that will be outside this, right? So please ask all your questions on big data and so on. Otherwise, it will get probably mixed up. So let me just give you some overviews of this. As you know, our industry is touched $108 billion previously, and we had mentioned to you that given what we see the technology's role and what we're doing in business process management and in new areas, we believe that by 2020 this could be about $300 billion. And in that, areas such as analytics and so on will start playing a more significant role than it is today. We are, I would say, we feel quite confident that we are on track to do that. The important point at this is that even though there are uncertainties and global economies still remain in some kind of usage by just business, but today every one of us, as I think this morning somebody had mentioned, that every one of us who's carrying a smartphone is almost carrying an IBM mainframe as it used to be in the 1970s, right? So you have that huge size of capability right there. Every one of us in that has a camera, and every one of the cell phones is actually giving out so much data about where you are, what you are. There's just tons of data that's being generated. So I think the whole social media, mobility, analytics, and cloud are big drivers for business for us. The question we could ask is, why now? I think we have always been talking about data mining and data warehouses in the past. I think it's very different now. As somebody had estimated that all the data that had been produced ever since civilization started till 2003 is getting produced now in every 2 days. So just imagine what was done till 2003 in terms of all the data that existed in the world gets produced every 2 years. So the interesting part is that it's not about tomorrow and future, it's today, right? The big data and analytics is being used today. In a lot of ways, many of you who use social media, the fact that pages of your interest show up, right, is also because there is a lot of analytics that's going on online. So it's not about using data offline, but using data online basis. In fact, I'll talk about this later in terms of the report that we are releasing. I think has also got that significance here. So we believe that this is going to contribute very significantly to our industry, and our estimate is that 2020, if you look at services, platforms, the SaaS model that is in analytics would probably lead to about $7.5 billion of revenues by 2020, right? So I think it's very, very significant. Why does India become relevant here? And why India, is it just another service like apps and infrastructure or whatever? I think it's very important to see this. This is greenfield, right? There is work happening across the world, but it's also in a lot of ways greenfield. What goes into analytics is just not technology and process, right? There is science, social sciences, there is statistics, maths, right? So it's a culmination of a large number of faculties that are required to do analytics, because people will develop algorithms, people will develop newer models of how societies work. In fact, our keynote speaker this morning actually talked about how city planning and urban planning would be done, right, using data that was there. And he gave real-time examples of how they are mapping data, visualizing it, and making things happen. So for us, this is a very significant change. Interestingly, it's not yet just like another service. We are seeing, because of the big data and analytics coming in, a very large number of new entrepreneurs and new companies are coming in, right, who are analytics only. They're developing products or solutions. In fact, you probably walk down the aisle, you'll probably see some of them right here, right? So there are newer companies coming in who are only focused on this analytics space and big data space, or how companies are getting exposed. The risk that we all run today is becoming very high, right? The regulatory environment is getting tighter. So, it's no point of our preventing fraud, our detecting fraud. It's no point of our analyzing fraud. It's no longer about looking post facto. It's about online. Can I stop a fraud while it's happening? Right? And I think this report actually brings out very clearly how analytics, online analytics, right, using both past data and past behaviors versus the online data that's available today, would be able to do it. Similarly, if you look at procurement for manufacturing companies, as much as 70% of their cost comes out of materials. See, when we have special interest groups, it's a never-ending, right? These are perpetual groups. So these are the 4 or 5 things. I don't think we can lick the problem of talent in 3 months or 2 months. It's about our identifying what we can do. And as you would appreciate, we are not going to, we will work with the academia, but it's not easy for us to change that. So we'll get the academia involved, but I think a lot of it will have to be done by ourselves. Similarly, today, there are new generation companies that are coming up in skill building, right? So we'll work with them to ensure that they actually prepare for us industry-ready people, so that what we do today, and there's tons of courseware that you were talking about that's available on the websites, MIT sites, and so on, which would be available to them, so that this becomes yet another movement. So, when people say the lower end of the work over time will get either eliminated, automated, or platforms will come in. So I think it is very important for young people to not take a job as an entitlement, but work towards getting their skills up and ensure that they can participate. So one of the reasons that we have all of you in this room is that when you talk about it, I think it will excite people, saying, if I'm a statistician, I don't have to just get into a bank or somewhere else. There are much higher value-add opportunities. No, so, the sensitivity is about individual data. There is no issue about aggregated data. When you look at big data, it's about trends, it's about movements. When you look at frauds, right, that's actually being used within the company or bank by using tools that are there in behavior. Already, for example, if you look at the US, right, your credit card usage, your traffic offense, all of them through the social security does get linked up. So I think we are not saying that the big data is going to, I think we have to be cautious, and anytime new technologies come in, right, there are always unintended consequences, concerns that people have, and I think we need to ensure that we have a very robust privacy policy as we do this. But movement of data and usage of data for the skills and human resources, right, capabilities. So we are not talking about India's competitiveness versus many of these manufactured areas and so on. I think we are really focused on capabilities and skills. And as I mentioned, that this is a confluence of not just one scale of technology or understanding maths or sciences. It's actually a whole lot of things that come together to make analytics happen. And I think those individual resources are available. They are available at scale, right? And I think that is why, irrespective of what's happening, India continues to be the largest player in the markets that we are in. And there's no doubt that in analytics as well, we should be a very, very significant player. So I think our competitiveness really comes from our strength of resources, our education system, our learnability, and the ability of our corporations to be taking those, shall we say, raw resources, if I may call them, right, who have got the right education background, and the education system had made them, given them problem-solving skills and learnability skills, that I think we would come and use them. I don't think we should undermine them. At the same time, if you look at the markets that we are working in, we must not forget that even in the US, while there is still population growth in the US, there is huge shortage of skilled manpower.